as you guys are seeing, is Genealogy Genie AI. It is a genealogical research tool and a search engine with AI in between. So you do your research and it utilizes the search engine to help you out, and it utilizes the AI to try to make sense of your research and the stuff that it's finding online. I'm going to show, this is our test environment. You'll see a few things that are not yet in production, but we're looking at a April 1st update for most of the things that you're seeing. Some of them are already there, but some of them I'll try and highlight the ones that are still in preview or still undergoing testing. All right, this is your dashboard. It's the homepage that you come to when you log in. It does actually remember where you left off, so you won't always come here. It'll take you to where you left off. But the first time you log in, you'll see this. You can kick off a new project right from here. And projects are just groups of individuals. You can add and remove individuals. These are my recent projects, so these are ones I've visited or worked on recently. And they're just groups of individuals. They'll have a common family tree in the project. They'll have a common timeline, a common map, and things of that nature. I'll show you real quick what that looks like. But you can also add an individual, and you just need this information to get started. You can set a research goal. We do have this little icon here reminding you that we do send the research goal to the AI. So, best not to put any personal information in there, especially if there's someone who has been alive in, say, the last 100 years. We do mark all the fields that we send to the AI that aren't just a number or something like that with this little, I call it this little angry robot, and remind you that we're saying it to the AI. We have a GEDCOM import. Right now, it basically loads the GEDCOM into our project. I'm going to be working on it. I think this is the very next thing we're going to work on after we get this release out, in tailoring the GEDCOM a little bit better. Right now, it's just got a date range that you set, and we try to import everybody in that date range. But I think in the end, we're going to try to probably do some last name filters in case you're only interested in part of the GEDCOM. We'll probably keep the date range filter in case you're only interested in, say, your War of 1812 ancestors or something like that. But new exciting things coming with the GEDCOM import. Real quick overview of projects. So they have these action items. This is our AI QA. So in this case, it's saying, hey, there's something interesting about this property. And it is that purchased a schooner, became a captain at the age of 17. So the AI is, I want to verify that. That sounds like it might just be a family story. The reality is this one's actually true. He's pretty well documented. But anyways, it's good that the AI picked that up. And we have red ones. So you see the yellow ones here. That means that culturally it's a little bit weird. At the time period, it may be a little bit strange. You'll see some red ones occasionally. Those are things like 5-year-olds don't have children. Deceased people don't have children. Deceased people don't move. Deceased people don't immigrate, stuff like that. And the AI does that in the background periodically just to give you a heads up that something may be a little bit off. Blue means that these are both your typical nexus points, births, deaths, marriages, where you might find good records. But blue also means that in the time period that we're looking at and the place we're looking at, there's a chance that there's actually records for that. And sometimes it's not clear why it thinks there's records for that. Some cases there was a recent law change. Some cases it might be the only tax roll from that time period that still exists. And so it says, hey, you might be able to find the person on this tax roll. And then we do have green ones as well. Let me see if there's a green one further on here. Yep. Which is, again, these are more just your normal genealogical nexuses, but they're not ones where specifically there's a known change that might have produced a record. So again, it's a little bit subjective from the AI standpoint, but the reds and yellows are the ones that you want to pay attention to that may indicate that you've swapped a date, the records that have been recorded have been wrong, you might have the wrong person, or culturally it's just a little bit weird and maybe something to look at. Here are the people, or the individuals that are in our project. We'll go through some of these things here as far as being able to edit an individual, being able to see the individual's information and stuff like that. But I've got more detailed demo we'll do shortly. You have a family tree. Our family trees, when they get larger, we compress them down to marriages and non-marriages. So here we have a marriage union. They have an unmarried child, and then they have a married child. That doesn't mean the child isn't married. It just means you have the marriage information in the system. You can click on them and they'll take you into sort of a more traditional family tree, but at a smaller level. So it filters it down to just the immediate family tree here. And we can go back. That's our way of making sense of larger family trees. It seems to work out pretty well to just compress it down that way. And then we have our timeline. This is everyone in this project as well as others that they interact with. So if you've got a birth, you'll see the parents come in, even if the parents aren't in the project. And then you have a map. And the map just maps out where people have been. This is an unknown. This happens to be the 00, the 0 lat, 0 long. And I do happen to know that one of the people in this project died in Cuba. And so that's actually correct. All the research you do in a project on an individual flows between projects. So you don't really have to worry too much about where you're doing the research or how you're getting there. We go back to the dashboard. Here's our recent individuals. These are the top 5 recent individuals that we visited. Here are recent events. We don't track the event you visited most recently. We track the event you modified or updated most recently. If we tracked events that you went to, there's a good chance that you would just get lost, or the event you're really truly interested in would just flow off. But we do track the individuals that you've recently visited, as well as the projects. The little stars here, and almost everywhere where you see a star, you can click it and mark them a favorite. So I'll mark Moses Cunningham a favorite, and he'll show up over here under favorites. Down here. And then I can mark him a non-favorite, and he disappears. So Moses is actually one we're going to dig into, and I'll show you some of the new interesting things that we've done. So this is our individual details. We call it the history of, and then the individual's name, and then their birth information. And his are estimated, so that's why you see that they're estimated. Timeline, these are events that you have added. Everyone gets a birth, so when you add a new individual, they'll have a birth. You'll put in a birth year. It can be an estimated birth year. If you know the place, you can mark the place unknown if you don't know the place. And then if you set their death, they'll get a death as well. In this case, Moses' death location is unknown. It's not even clear that Moses is a real person. Moses Cunningham is a possible father of one of my ancestors. So I'm playing a little bit of what if genealogy here in trying to research him and tie him into a Thomas Cunningham. Family Search says they might be related on a couple of different profiles, and there's a couple of other theories out there as well. So I'm playing a little what if genealogy, trying to work the Moses into the Thomas and also Moses back to where he might have come from. So Moses was born, theoretically, in Ulster, Ireland. Again, a little bit of what if here. If I knew his father and mother, I could add them. If I find them, I can create them new right here, or I can just select them. Alexander's not him. Other individuals, so if I found a birth record that tells me about other people who are there, I can list them and link them here. That comes in really handy when you're dealing with census records, or you're dealing with maybe a baptism that has a list of people who were present at the baptism. Every event, and they're called something a little bit different based on what the event is, but every event has who did it happen to, when did it happen, where did it happen, and who is involved in, so the father and the mother, and who is present for. The place, when you enter information into the place, it'll do a little research on it to try to give you an idea of what the important places are. So in this case, we've just listed it as Ulster, Ireland, and it's given us some ideas of some other places around. So it's, hey, here's some other counties that are around there. So it's just, and Derry is one of the areas that they often migrated from. So if I suddenly use one of these and find where that it is the right place, or I just was being lazy and didn't enter the right place, but I know it, I could just click this button right here to set this. If it's not applicable, the AI went and found it, and you're like, no, that's not it, doesn't matter, that one's place, so that's not important, you can click the little trash can. Almost everywhere where you can click a trash can in the system, we actually don't delete it. We just mark it and tell the AI, this is not applicable. So the first thing that happens when you come in here is if you have not generated any insights, it'll go through and generate insights. So the first one is the theory. It's just a wordsmith version of the information that's up here with Moses Cunningham was born around. The second one is the place. That's the information that is of interest to the place. So what was it like? So this is his birth. And so it is literally what was it be like to be born in 1680 in Ulster, Ireland. So you can click this and you can view it. It tells you about the socioeconomic landscape, tells you about the economic landscape, anything that was going on at the time as far as political or economic. And almost everything, I'd say everything, has a source citation on it, as always. And I'll talk a little bit about how we manage this in our research part. But always be careful with the source citations on AI, because the AI sometimes has its own opinion on how that source citation should be, the reference that should be in that source citation. And then this last one is the records. What records are available? Are there any record loss? Things of that nature. So things of lack of systemic record keeping. So it tries to warn you about catastrophic record loss. It tries to warn you if there isn't, as it says here, a systematic system of record keeping. And it also tries to warn you, especially if it's a modern record, if it thinks there might be a legal restriction on getting a hold of it. And that can be hit or miss depending on what information it knows or what information it can find. But it does try to warn you that, hey, you might need to be next of kin, or you might need to be working with their next of kin in order to get a modern birth certificate or a modern death certificate. The next thing we have, and you get the chance to review this, you can say, no, not really good for me, and that'll move it over to additional. You can click on the exclude this. correct. So if for some reason it chose, I think on the marriage, it chooses a Maryland reference. And I know that I'm pretty sure they didn't migrate through Maryland. So in that case, I just go in here and I click the little X. And again, I store that. The system stores that and it sends it to the AI saying this is not applicable. The fun part is when you get to the research leads, and I'll just go ahead and click that right now. So the research leads are going to start off by looking for archives that might be available. So this is places that you might be able to go and search or contact to find records associated with this. That's not terribly in-depth AI work. The really interesting part is when it gets to the smart web research. And the smart web research looks a little something like this. This is the smart web research. What it does is step one, creates a plan. We don't tell it how many steps to do. We don't really tell it how to create the plan. We send the question, the theory. We say, in theory, Moses Cunningham arrived in Boston at age 38. And we include this little piece of information here that I typed in to the details down here, that he could be part of the shoot petition. I'm not convinced of that, but it was in one of the family search entries that I used to create this detail. So I went ahead and included it just as a possible theory. So we send that theory over, the AI creates a plan. Then it sends the plan to researchers. And so it takes the first item off, sends it to 4 different researchers. The researchers search the web, they search open archives, so think archive.org, Wikipedia, places like that. We tell it to focus on the sources that are in there so that it can actually dig a level deeper. Archive.org and places like that are AI friendly. We're looking for obviously books on the family or books on the place or books on the military unit or something like that. We search family search, so we have a search interface to family search. We will be broadening the family search compatibility in the next piece as well. So going with the GEDCOM import, we're looking to be able to put in the family search user or person identifier and hopefully snatch up all of those people. So we have the existing relationship with family search to do that. We're in beta right now with them, so we don't have access to production. So the information might be a little out of date, but not by much. So we're hoping to move that'll all move forward as we get that other integration done. So it does that. It goes through however many steps it can get through until it's found you 3 to 5 good sources or what it thinks are good sources. One of the things that we do in there is we do what's called AI as a judge. So our researchers, all of our searching happens outside the AI. The AI creates the search query. The query is done outside the AI. The results are handed back to the AI, does an analysis, and it hands that to what we call a judge. So the AI that works as a judge is not allowed to do any searching. It's allowed to look at the analysis, and it's allowed to ask for the results that we got when we did the search. It then compares those two. So remember, the results haven't touched AI. The results are still the results we got. We keep a cache of them for a short period of time. The AI judge compares the analysis and the results and decides, that might be interesting. This could be a collateral line. It might say, oh, look, this looks like it's truly applicable, or it might decide that this is a complete hallucination and throw it away. That's the judge's job. When we show you the information, one, we can't show you the content because we've got to stay clear of possible copyright infringement, but we show you the URL. And if you've been working with AI, it loves to rewrite URLs, and it loves to give you URLs that aren't correct, can't be used. The URL we give you is the URL that comes from the search results, not the URL that the AI thought you needed. So that is as we call it, pure functional programming, straight across, where we've written code to say, okay, the AI thinks this is good, and that came from this link, and we take that link and show it to you. So you get to go look exactly what the AI looked at, and I'll show you one that I've got here. So this is Moses Cunningham, possible father of Thomas Cunningham, and it says that he's listed in this book. So this is Immigrants of New England. I can click on it. It's an archive.org link, and I can open that up, and I will tell you without boring you, he is not in there. I don't know why the AI thought he was in there, but he is not in there. But guess what? That's why we have this button. So I'm going to hit that button, and I'm going to mark it incorrect, and it has now gone away. It didn't really go away. It got marked in the database as not applicable. So if I research this again, or I research another one of the events in his life, it's going to tell the AI that reference is not applicable and you should not use it for Thomas. You can go through the rest of these, but a lot of these are hints and tips and things like that. And several, as you see here, are negative evidence. So we went and looked and we couldn't find him on the archive.org for the Boston Overseer of the Poor. That's useful. We probably wasn't in there. We also weren't able to find any information on the shoot petition. and so forth and so on, which is why I'm back to maybe he's not real or maybe he's incorrect. The end result of the research is this summary, as well as you saw all these other items here that you can click into and see why and click on the links. But this summary gives you an analysis of what it looked at, why it thought it was good, why it thought it was bad. So it gives you the research question, and you can click this and add this to your research notes, which is another tab in the system. You can come down here and you see these citations. So you'll see that arrival verifications. This is the one I just denied. I just got rid of number 5 because after looking at it, I realized that he's not in there, but I got to look at it. So this isn't one of those where the AI said, I found it, I've solved all your problems, but you can't see it. I just know it, right? And then we've got that problem in the AI world in a lot of places. And so, as I like to say, AI is not good at telling you what it knows, and it's not good at telling you what it knows consistently. So in our case, we show it what is known and ask it to verify that it applies. So, like I said, I just kicked back number 5. So if we run this again, number 5 should disappear and we won't have to worry about it again. But I can click on these directly from here. So I see the source citation. I want to see if 7's any more helpful. Actually, 7's the one I just denied. So let's see if 5's any more helpful. It's not. He's not in that either. And so the shoot petition, there's a reference for that and so forth. So you get all that. You get a nice timeline of what it thinks it knows along with the source citations and these links down below. And you can, and so it comes down, it gives you a evidence analysis, recommendations for future research discoveries, related individuals. So we have here possible in-laws, possible spouses, possible child. Nice conclusion. How close we think we came to basically the genealogical proof standard. And as you can see, we aren't close. And if we were, I'd be a lot happier because I would actually know more about this person and if they're real or not. And just a final summary. Here are all the sources that you saw up above with the numbers next to them, so you can quickly tie them in. Click on the links again if you really want to. The fun part is down here, and this is something we added recently. So if you saw the last demo, you may have seen some of this, but this got added, I think, just before Roots Tech. And this is all the people we have in the report. So we have Moses, who's our subject. We have Mary, who's a possible spouse, and we have Thomas. We click on this, it will give you a quick search. So what you get here are 2 things. One, the green one, so let me click on Moses. This is the information that you have in the family tree. So this is the information I have created for Moses by typing it in or importing it from someplace else. I've got a possible spouse. I can add more people. I do not have Thomas listed as a possible child because, again, I'm reverse engineer the family tree a little bit. And I've got these items about his birth. Then I have these, which are what we refer to as research profiles. And it has this banner across the top. This is what the AI is working with. This is something the AI manages. You get to influence, though. You get to work with it. But this is a work in progress. You'll notice here it says that Moses Cunningham is in my tree. This is Moses Cunningham. That looks familiar. That's what we just looked at. Come back over here. It has why. So it has a little note about what it's working with and why it thinks it might be possible. It has a research profile for his possible wife, who's indicated as, well, they are linked to the tree. So if I go to look at Mary, if I link over here, yeah, that's okay. So Mary in my tree is linked to Mary's research profile. And that's just a way of me, the human, telling the AI that this is what I'm working with. So we're working together. You're looking at this view, the research profile. I'm looking at the tree view, and we're going to work together on this. You don't have to link them. It's just a nice way to be able to work with them. Because if you link them, you can easily come down here and work with the events. So I can add a birth. You really only get one birth. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to merge. So you can see there's multiple copies here, right? So this is all stuff the AI has collected. So think of this as a big giant folder of stuff that your research assistants have collected for you. So I'm going to take those 2 and I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to merge the birth events. Is there anything interesting I'm going to go with that one. It's just a choice. Any links that you have to the person's tree will be copied, and any sources, as it says down here, will be kept. So you're not losing your sources, you're not losing your links. So I've just merged those 2 together, and I'm going to go here and I'm going to link this to his 1680 birth. So now you see it's linked to to the family tree information that I'm working with. So that's my way of telling the AI, hey, you're on the right path. Let's work this together. And this also makes it really easy to add new things. So that arrival you saw on Moses's timeline, was because I clicked the add button. So I just said, hey, let me add his arrival. And I added his arrival straight from here. And so I've got 2 possible arrivals here. I'm going to leave them. This one's actually got a link to the shoot petition, just as background of the AI. I thought that was applicable. And then this one obviously has a book reference without a link. If I merge those two will go together. So if I go here to here, I can do two. Let's see, keep that. Yep, they're all about the same. So the sources will be combined. 3 total sources will be combined. So I'll merge those 2 together. So it's still linked to his timeline, and I've got these 2 sources linked together. So in AI terms, I'm telling the AI, hey, if this is going to be true, and you notice the AI is not terribly confident in it right now. So the AI is only given it about a 70% chance of being correct. It's saying, hey, use these sources together. So that's kind of what we're telling the AI. We can merge. So if you see here, we've got multiple different Moseses here. And so I can merge those. So I can click there. And again, this is just my way of telling the AI, hey, whatever you've done that made you think that there were multiple Moses Cunninghams, and I don't want the son because that's actually a grandson of this Moses. But again, the AI's kind of got its own way of noting those things. So I'm going to go here with Moses Cunningham and this Moses Cunningham, and I'm going to merge them together. Not a lot of graphical changes because I'll tell you that Moses Cunningham was pretty much a stub. There wasn't a whole lot going on. If I have multiple Marys, in this case I do have multiple Marys, but that doesn't look like that's a Mary that I'm willing to merge. If I wanted to merge them together, I could just click these 2 and merge the 2 Marys together. And again, I'm working on the profile, so I'm telling the AI, this is where I think is right versus where the AI is confused or it doesn't just have enough information yet to finalize this. This is not adding people to my tree yet. So if I wanted to, I'll go into Mary's already in my tree, so I don't need to add her. But if I wanted to add her parents, don't have the green head here, and they don't have much information. So I couldn't click into them. Just I clicked into Mary because I have a bunch of information about Mary, and I can work through this information and I can update her information in her timeline. But her parents, I don't have much, but if I want to add them, I click there, but I'm now responsible for providing all the information because the AI has not really dug into Mary's parents very much. So if I found it and I like it, I don't want to have to type Andrew Cunningham again. I can just go in here and add the information that I've found in a record someplace. Notice we have similar individuals that already exist, and some of them match and some of them aren't. Any of these are really good matches, but this is our way of trying to help you not duplicate work. So if I look at Moses Cunningham and I try to edit him, it'll give me the other Moses Cunningham who's also much younger. If this is the father, he would be his grandson. And so it would show me the other Moses Cunningham. But this is just an easy way of seeing, hey, who's here? And if I thought there was a chance that one of these was a duplicate, I can click on it and I can go look at them and see what's in my tree. So these are all people that are in the tree because you don't see the research profile across the top. So yeah, obviously Ruth Cunningham, 1705 is probably not really a duplicate, but that's just your hints to you, the user, that, hey, you may just want to go here and add this person so you don't create a bunch of duplicates in the system. Because that'll just drive us all crazy later. You could view on family search. So in this case, the research profile was able to link to family search. So we can click that and go see what it thought was the most likely candidate for a family search entry. Yep. And then if you want to see what Mary Cunningham looks like in your tree, you can just click on this. It will take you to Mary Cunningham in the tree. And we've got a bunch of things up. So we'll just click view timeline and we'll have to close some things to get back to it. So we'll close that. So we now switched, just because I clicked in view timeline, and we've now switched to Mary Cunningham, to her timeline. The other piece that we've added, and you can get to research profiles from here also, so you see Mary Cunningham is linked. And if you're wondering how you link somebody, you can link them yourself if they're not linked. In this case, the AI linked it. So the AI said, hey, I think we're on the same track here between your Mary Cunningham and this Mary Cunningham, and again, this is the research profile. So this is that big folder of stuff that you're still trying to paw through to figure out the truth and not truth. And so if this was unlinked, it would look something like this, right? So I'm in Mary Cunningham's page. So if I want to quick link Mary Cunningham, I can do that there. I can add this Mary as a new individual directly. So it says, hey, you got a birth and a death. Do you just want to go ahead and add them quickly? You can do that. Or I can go search for somebody. In this case, I know it's this Mary, so I'm just going to add it back. You can delete the profile completely if you want to. I realized we haven't implemented the delete relationship option here. So if I know that this is not her father, I need to be able to delete it. So that's on the to-do list as well. But again, you notice this is in preview. It is available in production now, but there's going to be some bits and pieces missing, and we're still going through the detailed testing of it. Okay, and so the other thing that we've added recently is a research log. And again, this is a place, that's not a good example. Let's go back to Moses, because Moses has had the AI running on him. Moses has had several of these things researched, and we can actually check on how the research is going. So this, if you remember, we started some research on his birth earlier. We're about 20% of the way through the research right now, and this little placeholder that says AI research in progress will go away. If you wanted to start doing your own research, you do have the archives here. You can start looking into the archives and start doing your own research and making notes in the research log. So that research log link is, it makes entries right here. The research notes does not go to the AI. So you can put, hey, this is the same address as my address, or I live down the street from this person, which is something you would not necessarily want to send to the AI, but you can put other, essentially what you want here in the research notes, and it's rich text. All right, so back to the other thing we've added recently, and that's this research log. Research log is it's a collaboration between you and the AI. So you can come in here and say, this is what I'm planning to do. And you can create here's where I think I'm going to go. Here's the URL that I think I'm going to. You don't have to do that. They're not required. If you want to plan time, you can plan time. You don't have to. So I'm just going to put solve it all, right? So I plan to solve it all. I'm going to add this to my plan, right? So here we have two things planned. One is the AI generated it. And that's because I came down here and I looked at these things that the AI had logged. And I decided I need to dig into this one a little bit more. So I clicked this little button that moved it back to my to-do list. So I can remember to go research this a little bit more and see what I can find. If I decide that it's not, that it's a dead end, I can rule it out. So I can click, hey, I looked at it. I can update my notes if I want, save it. And it says, hey, looked at it, not valid. And I think this is actually the one that we decided was invalid. Similar with my planned, I can come out here and edit it, update it, and you can add multiple. So you can plan 5, 6, 7 steps down and they'll all show up here under your to-do. But I can also say, okay, I'm gonna confirm that I've solved it all. And so I've confirmed it now that I've solved it all, and the reality is I haven't. So I'll move that back to my to-do, or I can just delete it. So I'm never gonna actually be able to solve all of it. And then I can go through and continue to look at these. I can confirm them, I can cross them off, I can move them up to my to-do so that I can dig into them more deeply, or I can just delete them. Every once in a while, there'll be a systemic issue where we're not able to complete the research, and you'll see this step was not completed because of the systemic issue. Normally, I just go in and delete those because usually the AI is going to try it again next time I do analysis on this step. But this is for the person, right? So everything that you're working on with the AI that the AI completes. Every time it completes a step in your plan, it's going to log it here. Every time you do a step, you can put it here. And then when you want to do something else with it, you can copy it. It is now copied to your clipboard in a format that is pastable into Excel or Sheets or something like that. Also can be pasted into Microsoft Word. So if you're going to use this as part of a report to track your time, you can do that here. If you just want to remember where you were at or you've planned your steps for your visit to the archive, you can just copy and paste it and take it with you. Coming soon is a research report, and yep, it's coming soon. I don't have this is a conceptual thing right now. I have not worked terribly long on exactly what would be in it versus what we're putting in a copy paste, but at some point we'll get to that, and we'll give you a button to push that'll send stuff to the AI. But again, we have to make sure that we're doing this in a way that doesn't introduce a lot of hallucinations that are just going to drive the users crazy trying to track down the hallucinations. All right, so other bits and pieces, there's a family tree here. So this is Moses Cunningham. He currently only has a wife. From these, you can get to these flyouts. You can see the research profiles again from here. And again, this is just your folder of paper that you're going to go through at some point. And all the information, you can add children. So if I really wanted to add Thomas, I come over here, I just click child, I add Thomas, I click Thomas here. Thomas doesn't have a father. I assign Moses as the father, and then Moses in the family tree, and I can do that here live. It's not going to hurt anything. Moses is going to pop up there in just a second. I can go look at, so you'll notice this has changed a little bit because Thomas has a bigger family tree. So it has added Moses to the bigger family tree. We don't have Moses' theoretical wife, Mary, attached. So to do that, we could just go to Mary here real quick, and we can add a child, and we can add Thomas, and we can assign Mary as the mother, and we hit save. And then you'll see Mary and Moses from here will go and become Mary and Moses together, and Thomas's parents, and Thomas has a first wife and a second wife. So that's why you see Thomas here twice, Thomas with both wives. You saw it go from the smaller family tree, but because Thomas has a bigger family tree, it gets more crowded more easily, we compressed it down into the married, unmarried structure that we use to compress the family tree. Now, if I'm wrong, which in this case I'm not convinced I am, or I'm not convinced I'm right, I could just go in here and delete the relationship. Thomas will stay. I can hit my back button here to go back to Moses, and I can remove Thomas again, and it'll go back to just Moses and Mary by themselves in a pretty traditional family tree. All of our events have, if they have a summary, you can click this thing, and obviously we're still working on this research right now, so that comes up as a placeholder. But if it has a summary, you can get to the summary here. If you believe you have proven it, you can mark it as complete or as proven. It will change its icon to a check mark instead of a question mark up here. So that one's not running, so let's just go mark it complete. So now it says, hey, it's confirmed that Moses Cunningham arrived. If you have convinced yourself, you found enough circumstantial evidence to convince yourself that this is correct, you write yourself maybe a proof here in your research notes, upload a newspaper article or something that's maybe a tertiary source, but you found enough of them to convince yourself that it's correct. You can mark it as assumed to be correct. You'll get this little gray check mark. It says it's assumed to be true. And that verbiage is sent to the AI, right? So if you mark something true, and when it goes to do other research, it's going to treat that as fact, and it's going to try to use that as a nugget to disambiguate, it's my trademark the term, the different individuals that it finds, the different possible Moses Cunninghams it finds. And then everything goes in as unconfirmed. And so everything starts with the question mark. Everything up here has a question mark because I just, again, don't know that much about him. If I want to, this part saves pretty much automatically, but if you want to explicitly click save, it's there. And then if for some reason things have gotten out of hand and this is just weird and it's just not working right, and you think we've gone down the wrong path together researching this, you can click this button and it will erase these two areas. Let's see, what do I have here? Maybe it's this one. I can do that too. Yeah, that one's good. So I can click that and it resets them back to the originals, and I can start over again. And if I come back over here, it should kick this one off and start that one here in just a second. Yep, see, so you noticed it started that one automatically for me. And then once that one's done, I can, because that sets the stage for the research leads, I can run the research leads. A couple more minutes and then I'll open up for questions. I know it's run a little bit long, but I also got a little bit started late and I want to make sure you guys see some of the features. We have these download buttons. You can download the timeline. So you can take that with you someplace. You can download the family trees. You can download the timelines and the family trees in the project as well. You cannot download the map. You just have to screenshot the map. Google really doesn't like it when you snag their map. So they block most programmatic ways of doing that. So if you want the map, just grab your favorite screen capture software and grab a copy of the map and do with it as you please. Let's see, what else was there? I think that's most of it. As I mentioned, you can do the favorites. We do have this bit here about generate smart timelines. It'll go and it'll try to figure out, based on both the profile, the research profiles, and historic context, what may have happened, and it'll give you an option of showing those here so you can quickly add them. I don't know what the long-term livelihood of that's going to be now that we've started exposing these profiles. It may just be something that we add to the research profile just to keep it all in one place. I think this was ultimately it's going to turn into a rough draft of what the research profile is going to be much more powerful at doing. And obviously, this is a Hugh Cunningham. He doesn't have really anything to do with Moses. In fact, I can tell you he's a Virginia Cunningham. But just to show you, you can click on any of those little snippets. Big long list of people. Everything here is searchable. Everything's sortable. Similar here, you can search and sort. Yeah. So I guess at this point, I'll open it up. If there's any questions, I'll stay on easily till 4 o'clock and answer questions. And just for anyone who's watching or knows someone that wanted to watch and couldn't make it, I will edit this video. It takes about 24 hours for YouTube to make it available. So I will edit the video and get it and obviously trim out the first part where we're having some audio difficulties.